I want to begin tonight, because it's the third in our series on relationships, by doing my very favorite reading. It's interesting when you do the meditation books in the morning. I always try to pick out what I call my favorite readings, and this is one of them. This is from August the 3rd in the Woman's Meditation book, Each Day a New Beginning. All that is necessary to make this world a better place to live in is to love. To love as Christ loved, and to love as Buddha loved. To be unconditionally loved is our birthright. We are so loved by God. We desire just such a love from one another, and we deserve it. Yet it's a human quality to look for love before giving it. Thus many of us search intently for signs of love. Too many of us are searching rather than loving. True loving another means letting go of all expectations. It means full acceptance, even celebration of another's personhood. Not easy, but so rewarding to ourselves as well as to the one who is the focus of our love. Love is a balm that heals. Loving lightens our burdens, whatever they happen to be. It invites our inner joy to emerge. But most of all, it connects us one with another. When loneliness leaves, no longer alienated from our environment. Love is the mortar that holds the human structure together. Without the expression of love, it crumbles. This recovery program has offered us a plan for loving others as well as ourselves. Love will come to us just as surely as we share it. Each and every expression of love I offer today will make smooth another step I take on life's journey. I wanted to read that because I'm going to talk tonight about kind of something that is connected to last week. And as I mentioned anyway, last week, we talked about the concept that the ultimate relationship that we have in life is the one that we have with ourselves. And from that, everything else flows. So I really believe deeply in the concept that we are all interconnected to one another. As I mentioned in my codependency series, I did that meditation where I truly believe that at the moment of our birth, we're given this gift and this energy of love. But unfortunately, as the American Indians tell us, this energy and this beauty that we have inside of us is literally put into a human body. So we are spiritual creatures in a human body. And it's really important to try to understand that our humanness is something we have to be able to deal with and be connected with. So tonight, what I want to do is I want to put together what I call a mosaic. Or we can look at it as like this beautiful creation of the gift of love. And that energy of love then flows from our spirit, who we are on the inside. It goes out to others, and it does touch others. I don't know if you remember, if you come into the front door starting point, and you look back, you'll see a beautiful, beautiful quilt on the wall. And you will notice on that quilt that a group of very beautiful ladies got together, and each one did a square of the quilt. It is their handprint plus a message of healing, a message of love. And then they all got together and brought their squares, and they put them into a beautiful quilt. And they gave it to us as a starting point, as a tribute to many people who went through the struggle of incest, the struggle in survival. What's so beautiful about that quilt when you look at it is it's like looking at a mosaic of a group of people that came together. They brought their gift of healing, their gift of forgiveness, their gift of growth, and they bonded it to one another. And in doing so, you create a much more powerful and beautiful energy that goes out to many other people. I use it as an example because tonight I'm talking pretty much about the concept of how do I take this gift, this energy of love inside of me, and how am I able then to share it with other human beings? Because only when it's shared, when it's interconnected, does it really come alive, and can we then really be able to interact and connect with others? I truly believe that things happen because they're supposed to happen. I think that we're sent on paths. And sometimes we have a tendency, and you know as well as I, that my control issues and my manipulation issues try to take me off the path, but somehow I'm led back on it. So in reality, nothing really happens by accident. We have to learn a beautiful mantra that was taught to me by my father when I was a small child. You know how you're taught these things as a child, but you really do not totally understand what they are. And so the mantra my father taught me used to say was, Pacienza Wayon, Pacienza Wayon. Patience, my little boy. Take your time. Everything will happen when it's supposed to happen. Remember, you're on a journey. And just be open to where you want to be led. And I really believe in that very deeply because when I talk about developing healthy relationships with others, I try to look at us as having 4 components because we're human beings. So first of all, we have a physical body. We have emotional feelings. We have a spirit that makes us the unique individual that we are. But above all, we are also social creatures. And because we're social creatures, literally, we need to be able to experience and learn from each other. You know, in the codependency program, we call this interdependency, interconnection, rather than codependency. We need this connection to be able to grow. We talk about relationships. I'm going to have to do this a little bit differently tonight. We talk about relationships. Good, healthy relationships begin on a social level, progress to a spiritual level, are developed on an emotional level, and are connected on a physical level. And I share that because we have all these basic needs. We have emotional needs, we have spiritual needs, we have a sense of who we are as individuals and people. All these things are part of who we are. And it's all part of that connection that helps us to begin to do our growing and do our learning. Unfortunately, we're human beings. Because we're human, very many times we do it the opposite way. Unfortunately, many times we start with the physical, and many times don't make it to the other ones. See, we come back to the concept that literally every one of us goes through this process. You know, the process of attraction. Now, you've heard the term, and by the way, there's some beautiful songs. We go back into my generation, my day and age, and romantic songs about the concept of love. The one I share all the time is when we say things like, I promise to love you the way I love you today to the day I die. You are my life, you are my everything, and you are my all. But in reality, what we're saying in the songs, even though they're beautiful, we're saying, you're everything, I'm nothing. But in reality, that happens in many areas in life. So we can be physically attracted to another human being. We can actually have normal physical attractions because we have a physical body. And our physical body has physical needs. And so as a result, then, we have normal needs as a human being. We have sexual needs. We're also emotional creatures, so we have feelings. Those feelings neither right nor wrong, they're just feelings. We have those feelings. They come into play every day of our life. And feelings have that concept as everything else does in life. We have feelings of sadness, loneliness. We have feelings of joy, celebration. We have feelings of being connected. We have a mixture of different types of feelings. We're also spiritual creatures. We have a spirit, we have an energy that makes us the unique individual that we are. We're all different, and yet we're all the same. We're interconnected with one another. We have God's love inside of us. But the reality is, we also are all individuals. And that's great. They were all the same, it'd be awful boring. It's much better that our spirit is different. But our spirit is what makes us who we are. It's our uniqueness. And finally, we are social creatures. We have a tremendous need to interact with other human beings, to be able to learn and grow from one another, to learn. It's only when we bring all this together and we connect with it that we learn about relationships. And I've been an advocate of this for a long period of time. And I really believe it's one of the reasons why you basically will get younger as you get older. I truly believe we have this tremendous need to be social creatures, to be able to play, to be able to interact, to be able to be connected, to be able to learn, to be able to grow. We have a social need to be connected to other people. Thomas Merton said it beautifully. He said, no one's an island. You can't function by yourself. You will die on the vine if you do. You know, a lot of people here at Holiday City, where I live, always say to me, God, you're 85. Why don't you just retire? I says, nah, I like being around people. I like interconnecting with people. It keeps my mind moving. It keeps me young. I don't want to sit around all day and watch, you know, all 550 episodes of Gunsmoke. I don't want to have to be able to check out every other thing. No. The concept is I want to be able to be part of the human race, to be able to celebrate that. Now, I got to tell you a little bit of a story. There's a gentleman here in Holiday City. He lives on the same street I live on, about 5 houses down. Really nice guy. He's 104 years old. And I get a kick out of him. He's 104 years old, and he lives with his daughter, who is 82 years old. Isn't that kind of ironical to actually be able to have a daughter that's 82? I don't think too many of us are going to be able to say that. But he said something to me. He said, the only bad thing about being 104, Vince, you know what that is? I don't know anybody around me. They're all gone. So I have to be able to make new friends. But the funny part about it is, he says, I don't think too many people are going to come to my funeral. I've been to theirs. I don't think too many are going to make it to mine. And I love his spirit, his energy, his openness. And people say to me, you think you'll make it to 105? He says, I'll go a day at a time. Maybe it'll happen. Maybe it won't. It's not important. It's the journey of where we are right now. It's our connection to one another. It's our learning from each other. It's our growing from one another. And that's why it's important to realize the fact that none of us know how long we're going to be on this earth. It could be 110 years, and it could be 7 or 8 years. We don't know. But the bottom line is, literally, we're all connected to each other one way or the other. If you look at those 4 components I talked about, even in a social level, we need something in life called balance. Everything in life needs balance. We have to have the negative as well as the positive. And I learned these things so beautifully when I was a kid, but I didn't know what they were talking about. Now I do. Remember the yin and the yang? You can't have something positive unless you have something negative, so you know what the positive is. So there's both sides to everything. So everything we do in life has balance to it. Even this energy of love from God has balance to it. Because sometimes we'll need it to celebrate. Sometimes we'll need it to cry. Sometimes we'll need it to feel loss. Sometimes we'll hurt and go through all kinds of changes. Sometimes we won't understand, but it's all part of it. But as we go through the journey of life, I really believe God takes us on this journey. But if we are able to interact with people and socialize with people, then over a period of time, and here's where that patience thing comes into play. Over time, some of those people that we interact with and we socialize with and we connect with, we will get closer to them and they'll move to a different level of relationship. The level we're able then to share who we are with them, to get to know them a little bit better, to begin to open up to it. And I find this really interesting because if you look at Alcoholics Anonymous, look at the beginnings of Alcoholics Anonymous, they talked about the concept of fellowship, concept of fellowship. Even the first word and the first step of the program is the word we, not I. We do this together. We share it together. We learn together. We experience together. So we need people in our life that we can share the gift of who we are with. We have to open the door up. Yes, it's risky, and sometimes it doesn't work, and sometimes we take chances, and sometimes we have to fall down, and sometimes we get up, and sometimes we experience so many different things in the course of journey in life. It's the same thing as regards to our emotional level. We have balance in our emotions. We have all different types of emotions going on inside of us. We're human beings. We have these human elements. They're wonderful. They're great. And sometimes they don't feel so great, do they? Sometimes they feel wonderful. Sometimes they're kind of in the middle somewhere. That's why even everything teaches us this about life, about the journey, about the connection. Look at the world around us. We have sunny days, we have cloudy days, we have cold days, we have warm days, we have in between, we have different elements, we have rain, we have sun, we have this. Everything's interconnected, everything around us. The plants, the trees, the animals, all types of things. It's like this powerful energy of love. Yes, we have individuals and people who misuse it, and therefore it's got to come back. It's part of the journey, part of the process. And sometimes we have to realize that people can share things, open up things, and they can have so many things going. Parts of them may look differently. I always love a story. When I was a priest, I was a prison chaplain, so I spent a lot of time in the courtroom. And we had this case. It was on civil disobedience. And they brought in an expert from Harvard School of Law. This gentleman was supposed to be the expert on the whole concept of civil disobedience. A brilliant, brilliant man. And so they kept waiting for him to show up. So finally, the judge said, well, whoever this man is, he better get up here right now if he's in this audience, because my patience is running thin. So he called his name out again. This gentleman in the back of the room stood up. Now, honest to God, if you want to use judgment, he looked like a straight wino. His clothes were disheveled, they were wrinkled. His hair was all messed up all over the place, like a little bit of Albert Einstein. And basically, he walked up to the witness stand, and everybody in the place was flabbergasted. And this gentleman gave one of the most beautiful, beautiful presentations on civil disobedience that turned that entire case around. The man was brilliant, but probably couldn't tie his shoes. And I've seen this over and over and over again. Because basically, sometimes we're heavy in certain areas, other areas we're not heavy in. That's why they say geniuses sometimes have a hard time functioning in the world because their mind is out here and they have a hard time interconnecting. And that's why I've learned I look for the gift of balance to be able to see a sense of balance. So if I want to be able to have relationships, I want to have balance in my life. So when I do interact with people and connect with people, I also begin to put into my life people that are very private and very personal to me. Yes, we can have a close, intimate relationship with someone, but it should come from that concept of connection, that concept of learning, that concept of growing. We get caught up sometimes, and a good friend of mine said this to me, and I could never understand it in the beginning, but now I do. He said, sex is 5% of a marriage, of a relationship. Intimacy is 95%. And I began to understand that sex is an act, it's a physical act. But intimacy is a bonding, is a connection, it's a learning, it's a discovery. It's that person is in my life to help me on the journey of my life, to help me to begin to interact, to connect. And it's the little things that count. It's the connection that counts. It's not the outside. A gentleman, a good friend of mine, he said to me, having a hard time finding somebody in my life. I said, what's the problem? He said, well, I meet these people that are really nice. They really have a lot on the ball, but I'm just not attracted to them. Attraction is important to me. So he showed me a photograph of a girl, and he said, now this is what I mean by attraction. I said, how old is she? He said, 28. I said, how old are you? 57. I said, well, okay. I said, that's what you consider attraction. Well, I better put a notice out. How many 57-year-olds look like this? Not too many. But the bottom line is, if you're looking for the outside, if you're looking for the external, yeah, you might find the external, but the external is going to change. The external will grow older. The external will move on. It's what's inside, it's the internal that's so beautiful and so special. That's the important part of the journey of life. And I know that to truly understand this, to connect with it, we have to learn to let go. We have to learn to realize the fact we're on a journey. And people come on that journey, we never know where they're going to come from. I'll give you some good examples of this in my own life. I told some of you some of these stories before. When I was ordained a priest, I was a little cocky. I was 26 years old. I was young. And I had this vision of what my priesthood was going to be like. See, I had decided what it was going to be like. So I had my meeting with the bishop, and I told the bishop, now, listen, I want you to send me to the poorest parish in the diocese and send me to do prison work because I want to go out there and I want to hit the ground running so I can really help people and save people, on and on and on. So he listened to me and I left there. And then he sent me to the richest parish in the diocese. He did the total opposite of what I asked him. I don't like that man. And yet, I believe everything happens because God has a plan. The energy has a plan. The parish I went to, I was introduced to the disease of alcoholism. I met a beautiful gentleman who I never would have met if I went the other way. His name is Morgan. And Morgan took me to my first 12-step group, which was Al-Anon in 1969. And it began my journey. Do you realize if the bishop had listened to me, I may not be here talking to you today? Isn't it funny how the journey of life takes us? That's why I tell people, take time to look at your own journey. Because I really believe that we've been given a path, given a direction. It's also very interesting because I was having a lot of conflict in my life about whether I stay in the priesthood and not stay in the priesthood. And so I decided in 1976, right after I graduated from LaSalle University, I decided to take a leave of absence and see if I can get my head together. I went over to Philadelphia and I met a gentleman whose name was Norm. And Norm, I asked him to be my sponsor in AA. He said he would. He took me to a meeting in Center City, Philadelphia called Mustard Seed, 17th and Sampson. After the meeting, he handed me a mustard seed. I thought it was a little different. So I'm standing there holding a mustard seed. He said, now put it in your pocket. I said, really? He said, put it in your pocket and leave it there. And meet me tomorrow at St. Luke's Hospital in Philadelphia. Okay. When I went there and met him, took me to a room. There were 5 other people in the room. Introduced me to them. He said, now take the mustard seed out of your pocket. So I took it out and he said, see that mustard seed? It has a name. It's called Starting Point. You're going to start it. Congratulations. Now it's your job to let that mustard seed grow. I mean, I took a leave to find out where I wanted to go. And all of a sudden, this gentleman arrived, handed me a mustard seed, and told me, that's your mustard seed. Let it grow. And now it's really grown. Unbelievable. The concept is nothing I ever expected, nothing I planned. Isn't it funny how when we don't plan stuff, things come into our life, they become connected to us in our life. We never know where they're going to lead us, where we're going to go. Because we're on a path, we're on a journey. And that journey is important. And each one of us is going to experience different things in the course of our journey in life. And you stop and think about it for a minute. Did you ever think that your wildest dreams you'd be where you are today? Of course not. And yet, if you try to plan it, and I know people are committed and they'll say, I have this master plan. I have it all set up for how I want my life to go. I would say to them is, good luck. Good luck. It's not going to go there. Who knows where it's going to go? It's all part of the journey. And I share this because we meet people in our life that come into our life when they're supposed to, that come over periods of time. I'll tell you another great story, and I love telling these stories. I can't help it. While I was running Starting Point on leave of absence, the bishop called me up and he said to me, he said, Vince, either make up your mind, either leave or come back to the diocese. I went over to Jersey, had a meeting with the bishop. Okay, and we had a knockout, drown out session, man. We had a battle. We finally came to a conclusion. It's like a union negotiation. He said, you can run Starting Point during the week, but on weekends, I want you to go to parishes because I want you to help out. I said, okay. But you can't live at Starting Point anymore. You have to live in the right. So we worked out a compromise. And so I went. The first parish he sent me to in 1981 was in a place called Waterford, New Jersey. And he sent me there because the pastor of the parish had fourth stage cancer. So I had to cover the parish for the weekend. And while I was there, I said my first Mass in that parish. And guess who was the lector at my first Mass? The lady that's my wife today. Now, I had no idea at all. God sends us in mysterious ways. Then I found out that she was the nurse at Camden Detox, where I went to give talks all the time. See what I mean? How things just kind of dovetail. And again, I had no idea at all. And it was only a good 7 years later that we ended up getting married. But it's a journey. It's a journey a little bit at a time, a learning process, a discovery process, an opening up process. With that, God sent three beautiful girls into my life to be a stepdad, and then seven beautiful grandkids, and four of them are married. And now in February, it'll be a great grandfather. I don't know what else is left, except maybe to hit that 104 mark. I don't know. But the bottom line is, you never know where you're going to go. You never know what's going to happen. And the secret is, don't try to figure it out. One thing I've learned about the first three steps in recovery, and to me, they are the most important steps. And they're so simple. That's why they're so hard to get. And there's that beautiful phrase they use in Al Anon. I can't. God can. I'm going to let him. See how simple it is? That we're on a journey. But we have this thing up here, and literally we have to try to control it. Because everything that's healthy, everything that's beautiful will come to us. It will come in God's time with patience, gradually. It's amazing sometimes some of the crazy stuff that we do as human beings. I have to find somebody. I have to find the one. I love Hallmark, don't get me wrong. I'm still trying to figure out what they mean by the one. Basically, is there such a thing as finding the one? You want to find the one, go home and look in the mirror. That's the one. And then from there, everything else flows. And that's why they tell us in recovery, they tell us in life, work on yourself, let your journey go. It's a full-time job. And then let everything else flow and happen. And everything will happen when it's supposed to happen. People say to me a lot of times some of the crazy stuff. I know my youngest stepdaughter, when she was in high school, came home one day and she said, I can't believe it. I said, what? I've been claimed. I said, you been what? One of the boys at school claimed me. So nobody else is allowed to go out with me because I've been claimed. I said, oh my God. Well, they got branding iron or something? I don't know. I said, do me a favor, will you? Give me the name of this guy. We'll have a talk with him. Just a talk, that's all. And she never gave me the name. But some of the crazy stuff that we do, I got to find the one, the person, and then I'm going to take a break, will you? We are the one. We work with each other. We connect with each other. And the journey will take us where we're supposed to go. And it will happen when it's supposed to happen. And the secret is, stop trying to figure it out. Relationships are beautiful. They're fantastic. That's what life is all about. But relationships are going to have this yin and yang inside of them. There's going to be days when you're going to cry. There'll be days when you're going to share. There's days when things won't work. There's days when they won't work. There's people you'll meet, people that you'll connect with, you'll bond with. Some people you'll connect with that you wish you hadn't. It's a mixture of so many different things, but over time it all balances out. If we're open to learn, open to grow, and open to realize that each and every person that comes into our life is both our teacher and our pupil every day. That's why this book, this woman's meditation book, I just love it. There's so much beautiful philosophy in here, simple stuff, yet it makes so much sense when you get right down to it. And so we look at the journey of life, just to be able to look at ourselves and do our growing, but try to look at yourself from all different components and realize all these things we have. And we'll all be led to them. We'll be led in God's time. My favorite little thing, and always will be, is this drawing of the tortoise and the hare in the race. Isn't it interesting how that little turtle wins every time? Why? Patience, endurance, time, a little bit here, a little bit there. Less is better. Don't look for the magical person. There is no magical person. There's just other people to learn and grow from and interact. So we'll bring this series to a conclusion next week. And I want to do one of my talks on relationships and sexuality. And then the week after that, where it says conversations with Vince, I've invited one of my counselors, Dr. Goldberg, to come. I'll introduce him. He'll be partying at night with me. Dr. Goldberg is really great on talking about other elements of sexuality. So we can basically, it's something we can experience through his eyes too. So I like having both components connected together. Okay. So my prayer tonight is that we're able to look at ourselves, open our hearts and minds, begin to experience that balance in our life. So let us pray. God, we come before you in prayer. We ask the God of our understanding, our divine presence, to be our guide, to be our strength, to be our hope. We come here in gratitude. Gratitude for the beautiful gift of love. Gratitude for the energy, for the spirit you've given to each and every one of us. We come here with an open mind, open to learn, open to grow, open to experience new things. We come here in the spirit of humility to be able to experience life and the journey of life. We come here with a mixture of sadness and joy, knowing that part of our journey, a part of our learning. We come here with all of our humanness, our human body, with its wonderful components and also with its weaknesses. Everything balances out over the course of the journey. And so we try to be open to learn, open to grow, open to new things, and to experience the fact that you are always there trying to be our teacher. Give us the courage and give us the strength to walk with you, to walk on the journey, to realize we're being guided. Teach us to let go and not try to control, and to realize that if we do, and we're open, we'll be led. Thank you. Thank you for the gift. Thank you for life. Thank you in gratitude. We pray this, the energy of love you've given us. We pray this every day in our life. And we thank you in gratitude. Amen.